Introducing the all-new EBOX Dragster, the ultimate multi-purpose electric minibike for racers, shoppers, campers or gear haulers. From pit transport to drag racing, weekend cruising or for the Instagram wheelie king, whatever you use the Dragster for, you're going to look like a pro doing it. Your new bike will arrive in a carton in a semi-knockdown state. Your package will be nicer than this one. Ours has been covered in yellow tape where we had to air freight it in early. The box should arrive in excellent condition and on our Dragster Entertainment System design. This is to prevent courier damage. Open the box and remove the bike and all its contents. As well as the bike, you should find a selection of parts inside. Let's check these to assure nothing is missing. You should have the following: front and rear wheels, front and rear wheel axles, a number board with loop brackets, a set of foot pegs, a selection of mounting bolts and zip ties, a charger and charger lead, some rubber axle plugs, and a pack of fuses. Tools may be supplied, however we recommend the use of mechanic grade tools. The tools we're going to be using today are as follows: a metric wrench or socket set, an Allen key set and a rubber mallet. Carefully remove the keys from the cables on the front of the Dragster and store in a safe place. Place the bike on a suitable assembly stand, ensuring the bike is secure and will not tip over, and let's get started. Locate the mounting bolts on the bottom of the stem and remove the nuts. Find the two holes on the top clamp of the fork and place the stem bolts carefully through. Return the washers and the nuts onto the stem mounting bolts and tighten securely using a socket. With the handlebars now fitted, we're going to look at installing the brakes. Find the right and left hand brake levers at the front of the bike. Starting with the right hand lever, remove the protective packaging and loosen off the handlebar clamp bolt. Place the brake lever clamp over the handlebar and secure in your favourable riding position. Repeat this process for the left hand brake lever on the opposite side of the handlebar. Heading to the back end of the Dragster, we're going to fit the rear brake caliper. Remove the packaging and remove the two brake mounting bolts. Align the brake mount to the correct holes on the bike's frame and refit the brake mounting bolts and tighten with an Allen key. We are now going to repeat this process for the front brake. Once again, locate the brake mounting holes on the fork and secure the brake using the brake bolts provided. Using one of the zip ties provided, keep the front brake cable tidy by fastening it to the cable guide. This is found halfway up the back of the fork leg. Next, grab the two loop mounting brackets supplied. Remove the wing nut and bolt. Make note of the flat face surface of the bracket, as this will be the mounting surface for the number board. Attach the loop brackets to the fork legs between the top and middle clamps, ensuring the protective rubber strip is in place to protect the fork legs. Locate the number board and begin by placing the two bolts removed from the brackets through the drilled holes. Align your number board up to the brackets on the fork ready to secure. At the rear of the board, feed the bolts through the loop brackets and attach the wing nuts, tightening them firmly. You can nip these up from the front with an Allen key, but do not over tighten. Next, we will need the front wheel axle. This is the one without the spacers. We will also need the front wheel with the disc rotor pre-installed. First, remove the brake pad spreader from in between the front brake. Undo the retaining nut from the axle. When looking at the front of the bike, insert the axle through the left fork dropout, but do not push the axle further than flush with the inside of the fork leg. Insert the front wheel, ensuring the disc rotor aligns with the brake pads within the caliper. When the wheel is centered within the dropout, continue sliding the axle through the wheel and into the other fork leg. Secure the axle in place, reusing the nut we previously removed, and then tighten accordingly. For the next step, we're going to need to access the underside of the bike. Carefully turn the bike upside down or lay it on its side. Find and loosen the 4 motor mount plate bolts located under the frame. Using the motor position adjustment bolt, wind the motor plate towards the back of the bike. This will allow plenty of slack on the chain when you come to install it. Return the bike to an upright position, preferably on a work stand. Remove the brake pad spreader from in between the brake pads. Next, we will need the rear wheel axle. This is the one with the large and smaller spacers. We will also need the rear wheel, with the disc rotor and rear sprocket pre-installed. To make this step as easy as possible, we always recommend to remove the chain guard with the 3 easily accessible Allen key bolts. This creates much more space to fit the chain. Start by ensuring the chain is over the drive sprocket on the motor, allowing the chain to hang down ready for rear wheel installation. Working from the left side of the bike, slide the axle through the frame and then slide on the shorter of the 2 supplied wheel spacers. Only push the axle so it comes flush with the end of the spacer at this stage. Now bring the wheel into the rear end and carefully loop the chain over the rear sprocket. Manoeuvre the wheel so that the disc rotor locates in between the brake pads. Then align the axle and the spacer to the centre of the wheel and gently wiggle the axle into the wheel bearing. This should be done sufficiently so that the rear wheel now hangs on the axle freely. You can now raise the chain to sit on the top of the sprocket and slowly rotate the wheel until the chain is comfortably sitting all the way around. Take the remaining longer wheel spacer and position it in between the space left between the wheel bearing and the frame. Now align the wheel and wiggle the axle the remaining length until it's all the way through the spacer and the frame. Locate the washer and the nut previously removed and tighten with a set of sockets. Spin the rear wheel and check there is no excessive resistance and that the rear brake is working. Now reinsert the chain guard. Return and tighten the 3 Allen key bolts that we previously removed. Once more, turn the bike over or lay it down, as to reset the chain tension. Using the motor position adjustment bolt, pull the motor back until the chain is correctly tensioned. The chain should have 15mm movement up and down from its centre. Once set, retighten the 4 motor plate bolts. When tightening, this can also add tension to the chain, so be sure to check that you are not over tightening the chain at any point. Now turn the bike the correct way up and make one more check to the chain and adjust accordingly. Now that the wheels are fitted, you can add the plastic axle covers using a rubber mallet to further protect your bike. Now it's time to locate your foot pegs. Your Dragster is supplied with 2 possible positions for footrest mounting. We call this Sport Mode and Comfort Mode. If you are choosing the Sports Mode, you'll be looking to utilise the shorter bolts available. The longer bolts will be utilised for Comfort Mode. Line up the foot pegs in your desired position. Feed through the bolts and secure the nuts from the inside of the frame. Secure with Allen keys and a spanner or socket. Now you need to grab the fuse. First, ensure the battery is disconnected. This is the large yellow connector. Find and open the fuse holder. Insert the fuse and then make sure to close properly, as it is then watertight. Now reconnect the battery. Replace the fuse holder into the body of the bike and tucking away any cables neatly. Now that the bike is assembled, we're going to make a couple of tweaks to ensure the bike runs as smoothly as possible. First, we will need to check the brake calipers are lined up nicely. Starting with the rear brake, loosen the top brake bolts that attach the caliper to the mount. Squeeze the rear brake lever so it centres the caliper and then retighten the bolts starting with the most forward. Now repeat this process with the front brake. Every rider is different, so we need to make sure your handlebars are in a comfortable riding position. Loosen the 4 stem bolts and adjust the bars forward or backwards to suit your riding style. Once set, retighten the stem bolts in a cross formation to ensure even clamping pressure. Now for the fun part. Let's remove the sticker protection to reveal your brand new EBOX Dragster in all its glory. All that is left to do now is to power up and get ripping around. Locate your Dragster's keys from its safe space, pop in the keys and turn your Dragster on. For your first experience, take it easy on the Dragster as it can push extreme power. At max settings, you may find you're struggling to keep the front wheel down. For this, we have designed a wheelie bar amongst other accessories, but we'll have full videos about these upgrades soon. Thanks for watching and we hope you enjoy your new bike. And for any other questions, be sure to reach out to our willing customer service team on www.eboxelectric.com.